Something changed this week. The whole internet felt it. For months, people knew Diddy had problems. Investigations, raids, lawsuits. But this time, it wasn't a rumor. It was a recording. A real piece of audio and video that 50 Cent says he kept quiet for years. A recording he claims shows the real Diddy, the version the public never saw. And 50 just revealed it. The craziest part? Even 50's fans weren't expecting it. He didn't leak it during the raids, not during the Cassie settlement, not during Diddy's arrest. He waited until now, and the moment he posted it online, the comments went insane. People said, "This is worse than we thought. Bro was really living in a whole different world." This recording changes everything. The clip instantly became the most shared moment of the week. Not because 50 is trolling again, but because the recording finally connected everything people suspected. It wasn't just drama. It wasn't just gossip. It was evidence. And the timing matters. Because right now, the Netflix documentary The Reckoning is everywhere. Millions of views, thousands of reaction videos, celebrities calling it career-ending. But what people didn't know is that 50 Cent had something personal he'd been holding on to, something that didn't make it into the documentary, something he felt needed to be seen on its own. That's the recording. That's why the internet exploded. And that's why we're here, to break down exactly how we got to this moment. This didn't start last week. This didn't start with a Netflix trailer. This story goes back 2 full years. 2 years ago, Cassie filed her lawsuit. She talked about manipulation, pressure, control, and psychological damage. People didn't believe her at first. Some said she was exaggerating. Some said Diddy would make it disappear. And in 24 hours, the case settled. But the world had already changed. The moment the accusations went public, more people stepped forward. Former staff, dancers, ex-partners, people who stayed silent for decades. That was the first crack. 50 Cent saw everything happening in real time, and he started posting, joking, trolling. But behind those jokes, there was something bigger going on. Then came the raids. Los Angeles, Miami, helicopters, SWAT gear, boxes of hard drives carried out of the house. It looked like a movie. And suddenly, 50's joke online. Now it's not did he do it, it's did he done. Didn't feel like a joke anymore. Then came September 2024. The arrest, the 50-month sentence, the reports about freak-offs. Stories from people who worked inside Diddy's circle. Stories too detailed to ignore. For most people, this was the end of the road. Diddy was in prison. Case closed. But not for 50 Cent. He said from day one that he had 20 years of information on Diddy. He said he knew the people, the stories, the things nobody talked about. And when Netflix announced The Reckoning, everything lined up. 50 became the executive producer. He pushed for real footage, real testimony, no more rumors. But there was still one piece missing, something personal. Something 50 didn't give to Netflix, something he kept until the exact right moment. That's the recording. And according to 50, this recording shows the Diddy he always warned everyone about. A Diddy who wasn't in control. A Diddy who was spiraling. A Diddy who knew the walls were closing in. Now the question is simple. What exactly is in that recording? What did 50 Cent finally decide to show the world? And why didn't he release it earlier? Those answers start in section 2, and they get darker, fast. The footage opens with a quiet distortion, the kind you hear when a phone camera is struggling to focus in a dark room. There's no music at first, just low breathing, shoes scraping softly against a polished floor. Then the camera adjusts, pulling in the red glow of a room filled with shadows. It's not a party in the loud, chaotic sense. It's controlled, private, carefully curated. People aren't dancing, they're whispering. And right in the middle of it all, you hear Diddy's voice before you ever see him. Calm, sharp, focused in a way that makes your stomach tighten even though nothing dramatic has happened yet. What makes this clip different from everything the public has speculated about these circles for years is the intentional quiet. No one is drunk. No one is screaming. It feels like a meeting disguised as a celebration, a gathering where the real conversations don't happen on couches or by the bar, but in the corners, behind half-closed doors, behind eyes that never stop scanning the room. You get the sense immediately that everyone here knows they shouldn't be filmed. And yet, the person holding the camera doesn't stop. At the 12-second mark, the first tension hits. A hand enters the frame, not grabbing the lens but hovering just inches away. A man's voice says, "Yo, don't record tonight, seriously." There's no anger in it, but the pressure is unmistakable. As the camera dips down, you see bracelets, a watch, the kind of accessories only industry insiders instantly recognize. The person holding the phone whispers, "It's fine, nobody sees me." Then they lift the camera back up. The room is thick with red light, the kind that hides details but highlights outlines, silhouettes, body language. And just when the viewer starts searching for something obvious, something loud, something incriminating, the camera shifts left. A figure enters the shot for half a second. Hoodie up, face turned slightly down, but the chain is unmistakable. The walk is unmistakable, and the people who know him don't even need the face to confirm it. It's Jay-Z. The documentary pauses the footage at that exact frame. A freeze, a slow zoom. Every editor, every analyst, every insider who saw the clip before its release caught their breath at the same moment. Jay-Z isn't looking into the camera. He isn't talking. He's just there, present. A shadow in a night he probably assumed would never resurface. But it's not his appearance that caused panic. It's what you hear 3 seconds later. As the camera lowers slightly, Diddy's voice becomes clearer. He says, in a tone that sounds both irritated and afraid, "People asking too many questions lately." A pause. A drink sets down on glass. Loyalty's being tested again. Another pause, longer this time. You tell him if he keeps pushing, he's not gonna like what comes next. It's impossible to tell who he's talking to, and the documentary doesn't try to guess. It simply plays the audio, lets the silence sit, lets the viewer absorb the weight of it. Because this moment, right here, is the reason every PR firm, every management team, every lawyer connected to Diddy, 50 Cent, and the wider circle started making calls in the middle of the night. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't rumor. This was a real recording, taken in a real room, involving real names. And the timestamp in the corner makes everything worse. It's recent, shockingly recent. The kind of recent that sends a message: whatever is happening isn't finished. At the 27-second mark, you hear another voice, lower, almost nervous. It says, "Keep recording." And those two words shift the whole tone of the footage. Because they prove this wasn't an accident. Someone was documenting. Someone had a reason. Someone wanted this saved. Industry insiders claim this is the moment Jay-Z's team started panicking. Not because he was caught doing anything questionable, but because the context is unpredictable. The internet fills blanks with its own imagination, and image is everything. A clip like this, even without any wrongdoing shown, can destroy reputations simply by proximity. According to one insider who spoke off the record, the conversation behind the scenes wasn't about what's in the clip. It was about what else might exist. Because if this was the first recording 50 Cent released, that means it wasn't the only one he had. No one starts with their strongest evidence, and 50 Cent is strategic. Every move, every release, every post is calculated. The documentary then cuts to 50 sitting calmly, leaning forward slightly, elbows on his knees, speaking with the tone of someone who's not angry, but tired. He says, "I kept things, a lot of things, because I knew the day would come when people needed to hear the truth." There's no yelling, no theatrics, just a man stating a fact and letting the weight of it settle on anyone watching. As the footage resumes, the room's atmosphere becomes even more suspicious. People move like they're discussing deals that shouldn't be overheard. Conversations stop when certain individuals walk by. A man in a suit puts his hand over another man's phone before he can unlock it. A small group stands near a door, guarding it like something important is happening inside. And through it all, Diddy moves quietly from one corner to another, whispering, gesturing, looking over shoulders. One chilling moment appears at the 48-second mark. Someone says, barely audible, "They said he's coming after both of you." Then, a response. "Then he better be ready for what comes back." No names, no context, just enough for people to connect dots that were previously only rumors. This is why the industry erupted. This is why Jay-Z's circle reportedly pulled him into emergency meetings after midnight. They weren't worried about one clip. They were worried about the pattern, the timeline, the possibility that the documentary was only a teaser of a larger vault. And according to someone close to the situation, that fear was justified. Because the person who recorded the footage didn't go to 50 once. They went to him multiple times, which means more exists, more nights, more whispers, more faces in rooms that were never supposed to be seen. One insider described the tension like this: if that was the first drop, the second one could end friendships, the third could end careers, and the fourth might end empires. And that is the moment the documentary transitions, from a leak to a warning to a shift in power the industry hasn't witnessed in years. The moment that second tape dropped, the industry froze. It was like someone hit a pause button on the entire music world. People who had been loud for years suddenly went silent. And the silence itself said more than any interview. You could feel it in the way celebrities started moving online. Tweets deleted, old photos gone. People unfollowing Diddy without saying a single word. It was the kind of quiet that only happens when people know something big is coming, something they don't want their name anywhere near. And that's when the reactions started slipping through. There was a clip from an old interview where a rapper laughed off the Diddy rumors. But after the tape went viral, he reposted a new story with one sentence: "Y'all stay safe." No jokes, no laughing, just fear hiding behind a smile. Then came the actors. One A-list actor who had been at Diddy's parties for years suddenly posted a self-care month break. No one believed that. You don't run from social media unless you're running from the comments. But the most interesting reaction came from someone who didn't even say a word. Usher. Usher didn't post, didn't speak, didn't defend, didn't deny. Instead, he just disappeared. No press, no interviews, nothing. Like someone who knows if he breathes even one sentence, the internet will tear it apart. And when 50 posted that side-by-side screenshot, the old smiling Usher picture versus the new silent Usher profile, people knew. This wasn't random. This was history unfolding in real time. Celebrities were reacting not because the tape surprised them, but because it confirmed everything they whispered about for years when cameras weren't rolling. And the way the industry started distancing themselves, that told 50 everything he needed to know. The tape wasn't just a leak, it was a warning shot, and the whole industry heard it. There's a moment in every Hollywood scandal where the truth stops being a rumor and becomes a countdown. That's exactly where Diddy's world is right now, a countdown. And 50 knows it. That's why he's moving like a man who already saw the final chapter before anyone else. The second the footage hit the internet, people said, "This is bad." But when 50 said he had more evidence, that's when everything shifted. Because 50 never says something he can't prove, and he never threatens without already having the files loaded. Diddy's team is trying to control the narrative. Lawyers talking, statements being drafted, friends trying to calm the storm. But there's no PR team in the world that can put a lid on a story once the public smells blood. And right now, the internet smells it. The prediction is simple, not because it's dramatic, but because it's logical. If one tape caused this, and two tapes caused panic, what happens when the third one surfaces? And there will be a third. 50 basically hinted at it. When that moment arrives, when the next piece of evidence finally drops, the entire industry will have to pick a side. There won't be any more hiding behind no comment. No more pretending they didn't know. No more smiling photos. The final chapter of this story won't be written by lawyers. It won't be written by fans. It will be written by the next piece of footage. And 50 Cent is holding it.